Hi, these are my responses to Module 3. Discuss what Johnson describes as racial surveillance and erasure. In what ways do you think this type of behavior impacts these families or perhaps your own family? In what other ways does this paradox exist in modern society? I said, I think this type of behavior impacts mixed families very much. This is a societal issue that I believe is from people having a stereotyped racist view of what a family should look like. I feel like people acting that way would be especially confusing for a young child to try and comprehend. I know that this has to make mixed race families extremely uncomfortable and probably pretty upset, rightfully so. Johnson describes racial surveillance as security, law enforcement, etc., stereotyping what a relationship/family should look like. He made it clear this can furthermore lead to many confrontations that can progress to getting wrongfully accused and trouble legally. Racial erasure is described in the article Navigating the Hypervisibility and Invisibility of Mixed-Race Families as any day-to-day event where mixed couples/families are uncomfortable and unseen. This can be getting an odd look from a stranger, being mistaken for not being together, etc. Overall, not being seen as the couple or family they really are because of their skin color. Other ways this paradox exists in society today are some of the societal factors at play in mixed people's lives. A lot of mixed-race people will get asked what ethnicity they are often, which is an example of hypervisibility. On the contrary, when filling out medical paperwork, you are asked to pick one single race. This is making a mixed-race person choose only one race when they are more than one, and furthermore making them feel invisible in our society. Typically asked in society to explain their race, but then being forced to choose one half of what race they are, denying them of their identity. Okay, and then for the second one, Goldberg et al. States perceptions of how others perceive one's race and the weight of history and political struggle that entails can profoundly shape outlooks and opportunities. Discuss what this means to you. How did the youth in this article view race, and what were the main differences highlighted? In what ways do the authors suggest that we might be on a good path for racial and ethnic differences in the U.S.? I think this means that the way society views one's race heavily affects one's self-esteem, and that can shape someone's values and the opportunities they will take in life. I feel like also pointing out the fact that it is stating that the history tied to race can control these factors of many lives. Race plays a huge role in confidence and how much someone feels safe and accepted in society, as well as it can impact how the world treats you in a variety of social settings. The youth in this article view race similarly, except white children had different answers than the youth of color. White children were more exposed to racial discourse, being silenced, and was referred to as being raised in colorblind environments. The article says that youth of color were far more likely to have experienced discrimination and negative impacts of racism. Race plays a very significant role in young lives, specifically people of color, and forms how they believe they must act in society. Overall, the article made it clear that youth are very aware of race/ethnicity while still having a few things to come together and confront in our world. The authors suggest we may be on a great path for racial differences in the U.S. by acknowledging that youth of all races are protesting and taking action over racial inequality. Furthermore, admitting that youth understand racial indifference and how even white youth can recognize their privileges as well as the disadvantages that other races may experience. All races are coming together more, and this newer generation is going to continue to be the change we need. Thank you, that's all.